You know, in the incredible tapestry of Hindu mythology, you've got your gods, your demons, and then you have these figures who are something else entirely. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most fascinating of them all, the great serpent king, Vasuki.
I want you to just try and picture this being for a second. We're talking about a creature whose breath is pure poison, whose touch can be fatal, but at the same time, it's said that his eyes hold the entire universe. What a wild paradox, right?
And his whole story is built on these incredible contradictions. Think about it. This is a being who is literally used as a rope to churn the ocean, a process so violent it nearly tore him to shreds. And yet, he also received the highest honor imaginable, being worn as a sacred ornament by Lord Shiva himself. How can both of those things be true?
So, who was he, really? Was he a monster? A devoted king? A symbol of sacrifice? Well, it's complicated. And to really understand him, we've got to unravel his story piece by piece.
All right, so first things first, let's establish his status. Vasuki wasn't just some random serpent. He was royalty. In fact, he was the king of the Nagas. And he ruled a place called Nagaloka. Now, when you hear subterranean realm, you might be thinking dark, damp, kind of gloomy. Nope, not at all. Imagine a kingdom filled with palaces carved from precious gems and rivers flowing with pure knowledge. As king, Vasuki was known for being incredibly just and righteous. And to really get a handle on Vasuki, it helps to compare him to his older brother, who you might have heard of, Sheshanaga. See, Sheshanaga is all about strength and patience, serving as the literal bed for Lord Vishnu. But Vasuki, his path was completely different. It was all about intense sacrifice and unwavering devotion, specifically to Lord Shiva. Two brothers, two very different destinies.
So that brings us to the big question. How in the world does a serpent king end up wrapped around the neck of the Lord of Destruction? Well, the story starts with an act of devotion so intense, it's hard to even fathom.
We are talking about a level of penance that is just mind-boggling. For years on end, Vasuki meditated without a single bite of food or a drop of water. He endured everything nature could throw at him, raging storms, scorching heat. He was even completely buried by anthills. And through it all, he never moved. His focus was entirely on one thing, Shiva.
And finally, after all that, his devotion was seen. Lord Shiva appeared before him and offered him anything his heart desired. Power, riches, immortality, you name it. But Vasuki's response was just so pure. He said, "I want nothing, but to always be near you, serving you."
And Shiva, just completely moved by this selfless love, granted him the highest possible honor. Not just to be near him, but to have an eternal place as the sacred ornament on his neck. It's such a powerful lesson, isn't it? That true devotion isn't about what you can get, it's about what you're willing to give.
But Vasuki's devotion was about to be put to the ultimate test. And it would happen during one of the most epic, most legendary events in all of mythology, the Samudra Manthan, or the Great Churning of the Ocean.
So here's the setup. The gods, the devas, had lost all their power. Their only hope was to churn the primordial ocean to get the nectar of immortality. They found a churning rod, the massive Mount Mandarachala. But what could they possibly use as a rope? What's strong enough to move a mountain and churn an ocean? There was only one being in the entire cosmos for that job, Vasuki. And he agreed to do it knowing it would be agonizing.
So the gods grabbed one end of him, the demons grabbed the other, and they started pulling. And at first, incredible things started to emerge from the ocean. The wish-granting cow, the divine elephant Airavata, beautiful celestial beings, even the goddess of wealth Lakshmi herself. It seemed like this monumental effort was a huge success. But then, something went terribly, terribly wrong. Before they got to the nectar, the ocean coughed up its deadliest secret, halahal, a cosmic poison so unbelievably potent, it threatened to just wipe out all of creation, instantly. Absolute chaos erupted. The gods and demons, everyone, fled in pure terror as the universe literally started to burn. In all of existence, there was only one person who could even think about stopping this cataclysm.
Lord Shiva, in this ultimate act of compassion, stepped forward and drank the entire poison. He held all of its destructive power right in his throat, which turned it permanently blue, earning him the name Nilkanth, the blue-throated one. And just imagine, Through that whole horrifying ordeal, who was wrapped around that very throat? Vasuki, silently sharing his lord's agony, enduring the searing burn of that cosmic poison.
You'd think that after surviving a cosmic crisis that threatened to end the universe, Vasuki's trials would be over. But his next great challenge was something completely different, not from the cosmos, but from his own family. It was a mother's curse.
See, generations earlier, Vasuki's mother, Kadru, got into a furious rage with her sons when they refused to help her cheat on a bet. And in her anger, she laid this horrifying curse on them, that one day they would all burn in a great fire.
And generations later, the dominoes started to fall. The Naga king Takshak bit and killed a human king named Parikshit, while his son Janamejaya was so enraged he swore to wipe out the entire serpent race. He started something called the Sarpa Yajna, a massive fire ritual whose only purpose was to pull every single serpent out of Nagaloka and into the sacrificial flames. The curse was coming true.
As his people were literally being dragged into the fire, it was Vasuki who remembered an old prophecy. There was one person who could stop this madness, his own nephew, a wise sage named Astika. Vasuki sent for him immediately, and Astika, with his incredible wisdom, managed to impress King Janamejaya so much that he agreed to stop the sacrifice, saving the entire serpent race from being totally annihilated.
So when you look at this incredible life, the penance, the sacrifice, the leadership in times of crisis, what is the lasting legacy of this serpent king?
Well, you really can't get higher praise than what Lord Krishna says. In the Bhagavad Gita, when he's explaining his own divine forms, Krishna says, "Amongst serpents, I am Vasuki." I mean, that one line just says it all. It elevates Vasuki to the absolute pinnacle, a direct testament to his greatness.
And his story just leaves us with these incredibly powerful takeaways. It shows us that real devotion is selfless, that real leadership means you stand with your people when things get tough, and that true strength is about enduring pain for something bigger than yourself.
And that brings us to the final thought I want to leave you with. When you consider his entire journey, the years of penance, the agony of the ocean churn, saving his entire race from a curse, you have to wonder, was Vasuki just a serpent king? Or is his entire life story a timeless philosophy on what it really means to live a life of selfless sacrifice?